Okay, so doing a little update here on the 22 Ram Rebel. Adding auxiliary switch controls for accessories, lights, and what have you. So I've got this bullet point mounting solution system up here mounted in this little factory tray drop down area here, and I've got the 3 ram ball style mounts, arm for the phone mount. I've been using this for a couple weeks now. I'm pretty happy with this. This works pretty good. I've got this one mounted for GoPro. This one, I've got an arm coming on order, should be here tomorrow, and I'll be mounting the control panel for the switches right there, and that's this. So I got this system here that'll just mount onto an arm right there, and it's not too high, tucks down nicely, doesn't block the vision at all. Where I sit, it's below the dash line, so it's a pretty good position for it, and that'll just attach with the ball with the arm. This control panel, it's pretty nice. It's all programmable. So each switch you can program. There's 4 different functions. So there's on off. There's momentary, where it is on, and then off as you let off. So like for a starter or something along those lines if you want. There's a on-off flashing function where it will just continually turn on and off if you choose. And then there's also a strobe feature. You can also program the color of these switches, the light, the backlight. I think blue, green, white. I think those are the choices. And there's also dimmer control, so you can make them brighter or lighter. Pretty easy and user-friendly. I like this system a lot. I had it in my last truck, and I'm really happy with it. I was kind of on the fence this time with this truck if I wanted to go with like Switch Pros or S-Pod. I opted to go with this one again just because I'm familiar with it. It has full functionality, where the other ones really don't. You need the full harness. So there's a lot of excess wiring under the hood. Even just adding accessories. This one's much easier and cleaner, I think, personally. Anyway, so this has a 4-pin connector that just hooks in and run the wire to the control system, which goes under the hood. I've got the wire here already run up, so just ran it down through here. I'll get that hooked up once that arm comes in. That wire's run down through the back here, behind here, and then goes down underneath all of this stuff, and then it goes across, under and across here, and then goes back along through the I believe it's the emergency brake cable that runs through the firewall. So back here under the brake pedal into the firewall, there's a really nice boot that emergency brake or parking brake goes through, and you can pop that boot out, and you can poke your hole through it, run your wire through it. I sealed it up on both sides with liquid electric tape, and then pushed it back in to the firewall from inside the cab. Makes it really easy, super easiest vehicle I've ever run anything through the firewall. And that's on this system, that's the only wire that needs to go through. So it's a little bulky, but not excessively so. I've run bigger through other vehicles. And since that boot is so easy to get through inside the cab, and being able to seal it up on both sides and push it back in is is really quite nice. I'll show you here underneath. So this is the steering column here, the brake pedal. Kind of back up and show you a little bit. Brake pedal, steering column, and then this right here is, you just pull that back, and then there's the boot right there. The boot pops right out. You can pull all this back a bit and you just poke your hole through, run your wire through, seal it back up, push it back into the firewall, and you're done. It's easy. And then this just kind of goes back up over it. Zip tie the wire. It's running along the runs along here a little bit, and then just up and across underneath the dash. So it's real nice, clean and out of the way. All the zip ties are cut and moved out of the way. And then move over to here. Okay, so moving out here, this is the control module for this system. Very plug and play, user friendly, very easy to install. Don't need any real background in electronics or electrical. Just basic mechanic skills and some basic hand tools. Very easy. What you got here is this control panel, fuses, relays, and I've mounted it to the factory fuse and relay box under the hood. I like to leave a little bit of service loop. I'll kind of show you that on the wires that come out of this, in order to allow me to remove this lid, kind of flip it back out of the way so you can access the fuses, the factory fuses and relays. This one, I'll show you how to hook it up. It's real simple. So what you've got here is you've got a positive and a negative that come out up here. This negative goes directly to the battery negative terminal. The positive is optional. It is a basically an ignition switch wire. You can use this with a fuse jumper inside the factory fuse box, and then that way it will only power on when the ignition is on. It will turn off when the ignition is off. That's optional. There is an on-off switch in the system on the switch panel inside the truck, and so you can power it on and off there, whether the ignition is on or not, based on whether you run this wire or not. There is also a low voltage system built into this. You can either have it turned on or off based on if maybe you have dual battery setup, or if you're running this or not. Completely optional, not necessary, but it's a nice feature to have. So if you have all your lights on and you turn your ignition off, they will all go off, or all your accessories, whatever you're running. This third wire right here is the wire that goes into the cab. This is the only wire that goes into the cab. It has a connector here and a connector up at the switch panel in the cab. So that makes it kind of nice and user friendly, so you can just pull one end through either direction you want. The next wire is the main power wire that comes down, and then that goes to the positive terminal of the battery. These ports right here, there's 4 holes in each one of them. You can kind of see they're sealed. A little bit blurry down in there, but they're sealed, and as you need to add an accessory, you pull one out, slide your wire through, crimp on the fastener, and I'll show you what that looks like in here. I don't have any of the accessories hooked up yet. I just got this system installed, so accessories are next. Basically, you've got 8 relays, 8 fuses. Those are all real basic automotive. You can get them the same relays and the same fuses at any auto parts store. They come with all 40 amp and 30 amp fuses. 40 amp relay, 30 amp fuse. I believe the way this works is switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, switch 4, switch 5. I think that's how it works. Actually, it might say under here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's in accordance with the switches. And your switches, you just push through here your wires for your accessory, and you clamp on the fastener, the connector, and it just screws into place right there. 1, 2, 3, and they're all labeled. It's pretty nice. There's 2 little switches down there next to the red wire with the blue fitting, the blue wire connector. Those switches are for your low voltage and for your dual battery, or your ignition switch, kill. So real easy once you get this installed. And like I said, it's quite honestly, it's really only 2 wires and then 1 into the cab for the switches. 3 if you want the ignition deal. But positive and a negative for the to the battery, and that's it. So what I do is I ran all these wires together, and I'm going to flip this out of the way. This is just coiled up extra wire right now for my LP6s that are on the front bumper. I just ran those wires right now, but I've got to put all that together and get those things put into here and run a ground. Every time you add an accessory, the positive goes in there. And your ground, you can ground to the chassis or to the battery. I think chassis is best, I believe, on this wiring setup. So anyways, the 4 wires coming out of this system are all going right here. The main power, the red and the black, and also the wire for the switch panel itself. I've got that all coiled up right here. I've got it as nice and tidy as I can get and kind of tucked away and out of the way. That provides a nice little service loop, so I can remove this box and get that out of the way. Main power goes right down, little bus bar with a fuse in there, kind of a disconnect type fuse, and then right up here and right there. Simple, easy stuff. Then from there I ran, I'm not currently running that ignition system, so it's all coiled up right there. I may add it later, I don't know. Like I said before, I did run this system in my previous truck and I really liked it. I did have the ignition kill on, hooked up. I was using that to kill the system when the ignition goes off. However, there's sometimes I found myself where I don't want to leave the truck running, but I still want the light. I wasn't so worried about battery drainage. This has a low voltage cutoff where it will kill the power to it when the voltage gets too low in the battery. So I'm not terribly worried about it. It's optional. I don't know if I'm going to run it or not. So far, I'm not. So that only leaves the ground wire that goes to the battery terminal and the wire that goes into the cab, which I showed you from the other side already. So I ran those wires back behind the battery tray and the fender back in there and tucked them up all nice and tight. And then they come out right here, right behind this, zip tied right along there. And one goes up to the negative terminal right there. And the other one, I don't think you can see, but it goes way back in there and through the boot, going through the firewall with the emergency brake cable. And that is pretty much it. Real easy to install this. And then once you have this installed, you can change the little decals on the switch panel itself. There's really nothing to do. You just put a sticker on for whatever your accessory you want to run that you're going to wire up, and you put your positive in here, crimp the fitting, slide it in and screw it down. You're done. Run your ground. That's it. Then your accessories will work on this switch system. That's pretty much it. I'm not doing this just yet. I'm running out of daytime here. It's really hot, so I'm leaving this here for now. This system with these lights, what I'm running are the Baja Designs LP6s on the front bumper, and these have an amber backlit, like DRL, daytime running light or whatever, kind of just a backlight, little low voltage thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run all four, these two with the low voltage and the XL Pros on the ditch lights. I'm going to run all of the backlit. These have amber backlit as well. I'm going to run those all on one wire to one switch in here. So I've got to get wiring harness for those XL Pros, and so I can run those down to here as well. I'll pair up all the wires for all four DRLs and run those to one switch. And then these also here have a high and a low beam feature, so I'm going to run those on independent switches, a low beam, a high beam, and then the on-off for the XL Pro ditch A-pillar lights. I also have the S2 Pros and the fog pockets. These are currently wired up to the factory fog light switch, and they also act as a turning light whenever you're turn your blinker on below 25 miles an hour, or make a significant left or right turn. These come on automatically if your headlights are on one side, the side that you're turning towards, or your blinkers onto. It's really odd. It's kind of nice when you have bright white lights here, like the factory lights were nice for that in remote areas, dark, nighttime. It really shows you kind of like a forward light in the direction you're headed. So it is kind of a nice feature, but daytime or daily driving around town is proving not to be so great with these lights. They're just too bright, and they just tag everybody in the face that's in front of me. So I think I'm going to run those on their own switch in this system as well, but that's future. And then I have some plans for the third brake light, running some S2 Pros in there as well, which I'll kind of use as like a chase light and also a much better cargo light, and kind of hopefully a good backup light source. So so those are all going to occupy this system here, all of those lights. But for now, first things I want to get hooked up are these LP6s and these XL Pros to this. But again, that's going to be a total of 4 switches. I need the harness for the XL Pros to reach down to this area so I can put it all together and start tying everything off one by one, especially for those DRLs, since they're going to be joined together. All 4 lights will go into one switch, so I need that harness down here to get that done. Then I can work from there, and then I'll probably ground out to the chassis or one of these terminals that's up here, with other electronics that are already ground to. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.